Welcome to Build the Room, a podcast for entrepreneurs, creators, and visionaries who aren't waiting for a seat at the table. They're building the whole daggone room. This space is for the ones creating belonging and a profit on their own terms. So, whether you're building your first online community or reimagining the one you've already got, you're in the right place. Grab your notebook, get comfortable, and let's get into it. I'm your host, Nella, and this is Build the Room. Hey, welcome back to Build the Room, the podcast for creators and community builders who aren't just chasing clout, they're here to build something that lasts. If you're new here, I'm Nella, and this is where we talk about what it really takes to build a community that feels good and that pays well. So let's have a real conversation today, and it's not going to be about just anything. Today, we're talking about pricing because I've noticed something. A lot of people are out here launching communities, memberships, or paid spaces with zero real structure behind their pricing. They're either charging what someone else charged, or they're playing it safe with a number that feels good, right? But here's the problem with that. When your pricing has no structure, neither does your growth. And I'm going to break this down a little bit more. But before we talk about actual numbers, I want to be clear with you guys. Your price is a positioning tool. It tells people what to expect, who it's for, how much value is inside, and where it sits in your overall ecosystem. So if you price too low, people assume it's just a nice little group. If you price too high without context, people don't get why they should invest. This is why structure matters. Don't just throw out $15, $99, $297 a month because it sounds familiar. Every price point should have a purpose. Let's walk through the most common structures and how to pick the right one for your community. So first you have a flat fee or one-time access. And this is great for courses or a course-based community, challenges, or starter offers, right? I want you to think pay once, get lifetime access, or a defined period like 90 days. For example, $197 one-time payment gets you access to your challenge portal and a private group. And 9 times out of 10, that's for a specific time frame. Number 2, you have monthly and recurring memberships. So this is great for communities built around ongoing transformation, support, or accountability. And I want you to think in this space, $27 per month for access to live calls, chat, resources, or even content drops. The key here is you have to keep delivering ongoing value to keep people engaged. And then number 3 is tiered pricing or a value ladder, right? This is great for content creators or even podcasters with a mixed audience. So you might have an audience from beginners to high level clients. In this space, I want you to think $15 a month for the community space, $97 a month for access to coaching calls, and then $497 per month for your accelerator. You give people a path to grow with you. This is where your community becomes a true ecosystem and not just a place, right? So let's get a little bit practical here. There are 3 questions that you should be asking before you price your community. And I want you to ask them like either right now to yourself or after we're done. But number 1 is, what's the transformation people are getting? And we've talked about this before. And I'm not talking just the features. I'm talking real transformation. What changes can they expect or do they get because they joined your community? Number 2, what is the value of that transformation? If they gain confidence, save 5 hours a week, book new clients, or improve their mindset, what is that worth to them? And you have to be clear on what this transformation is. You have to be, the transformation has to be quantifiable. You can't just say, hey, you're going to be successful. Okay, but what does that success look like? Right? You get it? Number 3, how does this fit into your business model? Are you using this community to build trust? Are you using it to generate recurring revenue? Are you using it to upsell into something else? Your price should reflect the role your community plays in the bigger picture. So if you're using it as an entry point, a low barrier to entry point, then what's the next step after the community? Is that coming to workshops that cost a little bit more? Is that coming to a VIP session? Does that look like booking coaching sessions one-on-one? What does the bigger picture look like? And let me say this louder in the back for the people in the back. Your community is not just a cool place to hang out, vibe, chit chat, and just vent. That's what Facebook groups are for. This is an asset. I want you to treat it like one. Now, real quick, I want to talk to you guys about psychology. You've probably seen prices like $97 instead of $100, or $37.99 instead of a flat $40, right? And I want you to understand that is not random. It's called charm pricing or psychological pricing. And here's why it works. People perceive $97 as way less than $100, even though it's only $3 off. I know you're probably like, really, Nella? Yes, they perceive it a lot less. Our brains, 9 times out of 10, because we read from left to right, our brains tend to focus on the first digit. So we registered $97 as in the 90s and $100 as crossing a mental threshold. Same thing with $37.99. It feels more specific, more intentional, and less like a marked up round number. But here's the thing about it. That little difference can have a real impact on your conversions. So when you think about charm pricing, it works best when you're targeting price sensitive buyers. Okay? So don't just use it for anything. This is for the people, this is for the audience who are more mindful about where those coins are going. Okay? You want your offer to feel like it is a deal when you're using charm pricing. You're running a challenge, you can use it for when you're running a challenge or promo style launches. But if your brand or your community is a high touch premium or is high touch, it's premium or minimalist, you might want to round it off. And I want you to own the full number and own it confidently. So instead of $97, it would be $100, because sometimes rounding up signals clarity and confidence. Sometimes rounding up, and one of my friends, she says this all the time, I pay what other people don't pay for the fact of who's not in the room. So sometimes rounding up to that whole number will automatically disqualify the people you don't want in the room. So I want you to understand this. There's no one size fits all rule. But I do want you to understand also, your numbers are talking for you. Okay? Your numbers are talking even when you're not. There was a time when I priced a community for someone at $27 a month because I wanted it and they wanted it to be accessible. And yes, people joined, but guess what? Half of them didn't show up to the community. Some never even logged in. The value that was being provided completely unmatched by the price. And then I realized we were underpricing and over delivering, trying to prove my client's worth instead of pricing based on the worth. That was the difference. Once we raised the price and cleaned up the offer a little bit more, we attracted the right members. Engagement went up, results got better, and we stopped feeling resentful. We started to feel relieved. Sometimes you have to charge in order to serve the right people, but also to serve the right people better. And then I also want to talk about how pricing is emotional. It's not just a logical thing, guys. You know, when people say emotional buys, it's an emotional thing. There's something that is called price anchoring, right? Which means people judge the value of something based on what it's being compared to. So if you have a free challenge, and sometimes you might have seen things like valued at, right? So if you have a free challenge that leads into a $97 per month membership, that $97 feels reasonable because it's anchored by the free offer. But if you go from free to $397 with no context, it can feel like a huge leap for some people. So I want you to use your funnels, your emails, your wait lists, your pre-launch to create that anchor. Build the story behind your pricing. And then people will be able to emotionally and logically justify why the price is the way it is. Because at the end of the day, people don't just buy access. They buy the feeling of belonging, the possibility of transformation, the confidence in you as the founder, the confidence in you as their guide. Your price has to match that. So before you launch or even reprice your community, because I know somebody's probably like, oh my God, Nella, now I got to go back. No, I want you to sit with a couple questions first. Number one, what is the true transformation your community provides? All right. And I want you to really think about when somebody joins your community, where are they at? And where should they be in 90 days, 60 days, whatever that time frame might be? What is the true transformation your community provides? Number two, are you charging based on worth, or are you charging based on fear? Number three, does your price make sense for the journey that you are guiding people on? And number four, is your price sustainable for you? Because if your price isn't supporting your peace, your profit, your people, then it's time to restructure. If this episode got you thinking differently about how you price your community, share it with someone who is building their own, or maybe they just have been thinking about it and tossing the idea around. And I want you to also be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time. And until then, keep showing up, keep choosing yourself, and keep building the room. Bye.